Hi, and welcome to the first screencast for anatomy and physiology. Our first order of business is to define anatomy and physiology. We are going to define anatomy as the study of structure, and we are going to define physiology as the study of function. We study them together in A and P because the two of them are related. This brings us to what is called the principle of complementarity, which just says that anatomy and physiology are linked, or the function of something, its physiology, is going to be reflected in its structure. Or vice versa, the structure will be reflected in the function. And one of the things you need to remember as we go through the year of anatomy and physiology is that this principle works at all levels of anatomy, going from molecules all the way up to something really as big as limbs. And you're also going to see that structures or tissue types will be repeated in organs that perform a similar function. For example, some of you may know what this is. It is a kidney. For those of you that don't know, the function of the kidney is to filter blood. So this is an organ through which a fluid flows and is filtered. There is some terminology associated with it, such as the outside is called the cortex, the inside is called the medulla. This region right here is called the hilus. This little organ right here, most of you are probably not familiar with. This is called a lymph node. It is similar in shape to the kidney. It has a kidney bean shape. The function of the lymph node is to filter the lymph. This is fluid that leaks out of your bloodstream. So you have another fluid filtering organ with a very similar shape to this previous fluid filtering organ. Same function, same structure. And some of the terminology, and the anatomical terminology even holds, such as the outer region of the lymph node is called the cortex, and the inner region of the lymph node is called the medulla. We also still call this region the hilus. So structure and function are tied together. And as I said, it works from gross anatomy all the way down to the level of molecules. This is serotonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter. It makes you happy. If you are depressed and you want to increase your serotonin levels, what you can do is take these drugs called selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And this prevents your neurons from sucking serotonin out of the synapses and then breaking it down. These are what SSRIs look like. So these are drugs that stick to serotonin pumps and sort of muck up their operation so that the serotonin continues to circulate throughout your brain. So if you look here, serotonin and all of these selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors have the same ring structure and a very similar shape to them. So from the level of organs all the way down to the molecular level, anatomy and physiology are tied together. So the next topic is the levels of structural organization, and you want to keep in mind the principle of complementarity as we work through this. And the other thing you want to keep in mind is to think of each level up on the levels of structural organization as being composed of the stuff below it. And you'll see how that works as we go through. So first level, chemical level, these are small things like proteins or water. Then if you put them together in a functional arrangement, you get a cell. We saw before how SSRIs are similar in structure to serotonin, so we know that the principle of complementarity is working at the chemical level. At the cellular level, you have the same thing. This is a smooth muscle cell. It has a specific shape, which helps it perform its function. One might imagine that a neuron would have a different shape than a smooth muscle cell because it performs a different function. So if you take some cells and put them together with some extracellular matrix, which is just a fancy word for the stuff around the cells, you are going to get a tissue. So if you take some smooth muscle cells and put them all together with some extracellular glue so that they stay stuck to each other, you get a tissue that is called smooth muscle. Each tissue, because it is going to have unique or distinctive cellular characteristics and extracellular matrix characteristics, is going to perform a certain physical function for the body. So the types of cells and the types of matrix that are physically present in the tissue are going to inform its physiology. Then, if you take a group of tissues together and put them together in a certain way to perform a function, you get an organ. And which tissues are composed, or which tissues are put together and in what organization or what arrangement, is what determines the function of an organ. So each organ is going to have a unique structure, set of cells and tissues that is going to perform a unique function. So if you look here, this is a blood vessel. A blood vessel carries blood, so has a tube shape to it. It has an epithelium, which is just this layer of cells on the inside that gives it a nice smooth surface. Some smooth muscle to control the diameter of this blood vessel, and some connective tissue on the outside to hold it all together. You could imagine that your gastrointestinal tract might have a similar arrangement of tissues. It is also a tubular organ. It's going to have an epithelium on the inside. The epithelium in your GI tract will be designed or intended to help digest and absorb food, so it's going to have a slightly different structure. You're going to have some smooth muscle, again, in your gastrointestinal tract to help push food along or churn it in the stomach, and then some connective tissue on the outside to hold it all together. If you take a group of organs and put them together in some functional arrangement, you get an organ system. And then if you take a whole bunch of organ systems and put them together, you get an organism, which is us. So that concludes part 1 of chapter 1, and I hope you enjoyed it.